So I've recently replayed both Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2. And yeah, it has me rethinking Konami's decision for remaking Silent Hill 2 before Silent Hill 1. At first, I wasn't the biggest fan. Obviously, a lot of us thought Konami would go the route of remaking the Silent Hill games in order of release. However, it seems they thought it was more beneficial for Silent Hill 2 to get a remake first instead of the original Silent Hill game. Now, I would have preferred we got a remake of the original game first, mainly just because I feel like that game needed it the most. The original game is extremely clunky even for a classic survival horror experience, and the visuals are hard to get past regardless of HD mods you find online. Still, I wanted to understand Konami's decision, and after playing both games, I think I have a clear idea as to why Konami decided to remake Silent Hill 2 first. And that's where this video comes from. I've decided to dive down into both Silent Hill games and find out what really makes Silent Hill 2 the perfect choice for a remake first. Some of these might be obvious while others might surprise you. So my name is Ruben with Nerdspace Games, and this is my top 5 reasons for why I think Konami made the right decision to remake Silent Hill 2 first before Silent Hill 1. Let's get it. Number 1, the story. So Silent Hill 1 is a pretty good story. I definitely don't want to take anything away from it. However, in my opinion, it just doesn't feel complete. That's because Silent Hill 1 initially was just Konami trying to cash in on the survival horror genre after the success of Resident Evil 1 and 2. So the story of Silent Hill 1 felt a little basic compared to its sequel, and it was hard to follow at times. However, with Silent Hill 2, we saw some of the best storytelling in any video game throughout the history of games. We got to experience a different side of Silent Hill with Silent Hill 2, as it followed a more flawed protagonist, James Sunderland, versus our Boy Scout from the original, Harry Mason. Not to say anything is wrong with Harry's story at all, but the fact that James is coming to Silent Hill specifically looking for someone that is supposed to be dead makes the experience a little more haunting than the original, which in my opinion works perfectly for a survival horror, psychological horror game. Silent Hill 2 in this game is kind of explained more as purgatory versus an actual town. The mystery surrounding Silent Hill, if Mary is actually alive or dead, and why Maria looks just like James's dead wife is all a much more exciting story to tell versus just a father looking for his missing daughter. No offense, Harry. Number 2, the characters. Now, some of my favorite characters in the series are in the original Silent Hill. I absolutely love Sybil, and I actually really like both Harry and Lisa in the original game as well. However, with the exception of Lisa, I don't think any of the characters really has any development to them compared to the sequel. With Silent Hill 2, every single character in the game has some really interesting mystery surrounding them. Whether they are a victim of being bullied, a child suffering from a life-threatening disease, or someone dealing with their family's past, each character has so much backstory to them. I'll leave it at that for the supporting characters, as I don't want to dive too far into spoiler territory since some of the people's first experience with this story will be with the remake. However, I do want to touch on the main character this time around, James Sunderland. While not the father of the year figure like Harry Mason was in Silent Hill 1, James has his own reasons for being an interesting main protagonist in Silent Hill 2. He's not perfect, and that's okay. He's battling from the loss of his wife and coming to terms with the fact that he felt he didn't do enough for her while she was alive. Seeing that he might have a second chance with her in Silent Hill 2 allows the player to root for James in the hopes that he can get the opportunity he seeks, while at the same time you're concerned for him because knowing what we know about Silent Hill and the fact that Mary supposedly died in his arms just screams something is wrong here. Thus, we find ourselves on one hell of a roller coaster ride with James. Number 3, the locations. Silent Hill 1 had a few iconic locations to the point where one might argue that the locations featured in that game were far superior to the locations in Silent Hill 2. However, I like to disagree with you there. Sure, Midwich Elementary School is truly a haunting and terrifying location to the point that they even brought it into Dead by Daylight. Especially when you think about the enemy types that you have to face as Harry Mason in the school, yeah, it's a truly terrifying place. And the hospital in the first game is one of the most memorable locations in the survival horror genre. However, I would argue that Silent Hill 2 has a better foundation for remakes when it comes to the locations. Unfortunately, in the original game, you really only get to explore 2 locations completely to its fullest: the school and the hospital. Every other location is small and not as interesting. Take the amusement park. With the exception of one of the most interesting boss fights on a merry-go-round, the area seemed underutilized. Not only this area, but other areas seemed like a missed opportunity in Silent Hill 1, like the sewers or the mall. Both extremely small areas that would have made interesting locations for Silent Hill setting. However, in the sequel, we see it learn from this. Not only do we get a lot more locations in the game, but we get more expansive locations. Sure, we still get small areas like the bowling alley or the strip club, but we also get massive areas like the asylum or a prison, an apartment building, and even the Lakeview Hotel. Also, Silent Hill as a whole feels a lot more explorable this time around than in the original. And of course, this is definitely something that could be fixed with the remake. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Konami is looking for a strong foundation to revitalize the Silent Hill series. And the truth is that Silent Hill 1 lacks, whereas Silent Hill 2 has a pretty amazing foundation for the series to start over with. Number 4, Pyramid Head. One of the most iconic enemies to come out of Silent Hill is of course Pyramid Head. Actually, we even see Pyramid Head make his transition over to Dead by Daylight because of his popularity. When people first think of Silent Hill, they think of 2 things. 1, the fog, of course. However, in my opinion, the second thing that they think of is Pyramid Head. But here's the thing, Pyramid Head wasn't in the first game at all. He actually wasn't introduced until Silent Hill 2. And damn, did he make one hell of an impact. Becoming a reoccurring boss that James must take on multiple times throughout the game, he's one difficult monster to handle. Not to mention his enormous weapon and terrifying appearance makes the player tremble in fear every time he is on the screen. And nowadays, if you're going to revitalize the Silent Hill series, then it just doesn't feel right without including Pyramid Head. And unless Konami wanted to change up the lore, Silent Hill 2 is the first game that features him. Meaning if Konami wants the most iconic monster from their series in a remake, then it needs to be with Silent Hill 2. So a big reason why I feel like Konami decided to remake Silent Hill 2 first has to deal with wanting Pyramid Head in the game. And finally, number 5, most popular game in the series. So this is probably the most obvious one, but one thing is for certain when it comes to Silent Hill 2. It's regarded as the best game of the series. And while a lot of us would argue that it makes sense to remake the first game followed by the second, the fact is that each Silent Hill game is a self-contained story. Really, only Silent Hill 1 and 3 are deeply connected. The rest can easily be told as a standalone game. So if you were Konami and you were looking at all of these standalone games, which one would you remake first? Obviously, you'll go with the one that's going to perform the best. Sure, Silent Hill 1 is the most deserving of a remake. We all agree with that. Hell, it needs it the most from where I'm standing. But the thing is that Silent Hill 2 is a standalone game. There might be small references to Silent Hill 1, but for the most part, the game is primarily its own identity. The whole concept of Silent Hill in this game versus the original is even a completely different story technically. And like I keep saying, Silent Hill 2 is just overly more popular with the fan base than the original game. So money talks. Konami, recognizing that these games don't need to be released in order, knows that Silent Hill 2 is their best shot at revitalizing the series again. If Silent Hill 2 can't make it happen, then none of the series can, in my opinion. But that's it for today's video. Hit up those comments and let me know what you think of my reasoning for why Konami decided to make Silent Hill 2 before Silent Hill 1. Do you agree with Konami's decision? And if not, why not? Anyway, if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for more list videos just like this one. Also, hit that like button if you really enjoyed this video. Finally, you can support the channel by becoming a Stars member with some pretty cool benefits. For more details on that, check out the link in the description or head over to patreon.com/nerdspacegames. But as always, I'll catch you guys on the next episode of Nerdspace Games. Take care.